James Guay was 9 years old when he discovered that he was different from his family and peers. He was attracted to men. Growing up in a fundamentalist Christian family, he knew this was about as worse a thing that could happen. He recounts being bullied in school and leaving church petrified by the preacher's sermon. He even tells of standing on the edge of a cliff, praying for the strength to jump off and just end everything. Instead, when he was 16 years old, he turned to his parents for help, and they ushered him into conversion therapy. What was the goal of his parents? They wanted to turn their son straight. This story was reported by James Guay himself in an article he wrote for Time magazine, and sadly, his story is all too common. In an article for PBS News Wisconsin, Frederica Freiberg reports that an astounding 44% of our LGBTQ+ youth has seriously considered taking their own lives. And if this wasn't alarming enough, Freiberg goes on to state that those who underwent conversion therapy or warned of the possibility were more than twice as likely to attempt suicide. Conversion therapy isn't just dangerous, it is a worldwide health crisis, and it must be stopped before it harms any other innocent people. This speech will examine why conversion therapy is so dangerous, followed by a look at how our system has allowed it, before finally discussing the hopeful solution that will bring it to an end. When you hear the term conversion therapy, you may think of it as an archaic practice or something that was surely only used ages ago. Well, that's exactly what Sam Brinton thought when his parents took him to his first session with a conversion therapy counselor. He writes in an op-ed for the New York Times that in these sessions, he was told that he was an abomination, or the only gay person in the world, and that it was inevitable that he would get HIV and AIDS. And as if this mental abuse wasn't enough, he goes on to talk about how he was physically abused. They strapped him to a table and forced him to watch images of gay men on screens while they applied ice, heat, and electricity to his body. They were trying to get him to associate pain with his homosexual desires. But this didn't happen ages ago. No, this happened in the early 2000s. And it's still happening today. In his aforementioned op-ed article, Brinton quotes a study conducted by the UCLA-affiliated Williams Institute that found nearly 700,000 adults in our country have experienced some form of conversion therapy. Half of these 700,000 people say they received their therapy when they were under the age of 18. And it's no wonder these people are at such a high risk of suicide. Anna Forsyth and her fellow researchers published an article in JAMA Pediatrics saying that people who underwent conversion therapy were 65% more likely to experience depression and 67% more likely to experience substance abuse. Now, with all this data out there, you might be wondering to yourself, well, why does this treatment still exist? Well, the reason is that our system has allowed it. Conversion therapy continues to flourish in the United States and around the world due to a lack of legislation and understanding of our queer community. Jamie Ducarmi writes in her article for Time magazine that there are laws at our country's state level that forbid licensed mental health providers such as therapists and psychiatrists from offering conversion therapy to minors. But even so, this practice still exists in 48 of our 50 states. And this is possible because these laws don't protect against organizations that have a religious affiliation, and they don't even seem to be enforced whatsoever. Illegal conversion therapy sites are still openly operating all over the world. Now, compounding this issue is a belief among certain individuals that sexual orientation or gender identity are somehow a choice. Writer Insakan Akpan writes in an article for PBS NewsHour that sexuality cannot be pinned down by biology, psychology, or life experiences because human sexual attraction is decided by all of these factors. There's no denying the role our environment plays, but this doesn't mean, as Akpan so eloquently puts it, that we know how to manipulate sexual orientation mentally. What he's saying is that homosexuality cannot be fixed because nothing is broken. One can, however, fix the problem of conversion therapy. Right now, there are several organizations across the country who are making it their mission to end conversion therapy everywhere. In an article for Global Citizen, writers Pia Gralke and Joe McCarthy explain that organizations like the Trevor Project and Outright Action and even the United Nations are pushing for this ban on the grounds that every instance of the practice is a human rights abuse that violates international law and threatens the well-being and safety of our LGBTQ+ citizens. And the first step in achieving this goal is making sure everyone is aware of the problem. And once aware, donating to these organizations is the simplest way to help this cause. And this is something everyone can do, even yourselves. Websites for the Trevor Project and Outright Action make it very easy and user-friendly to donate, and every little bit counts. Your money will go toward pushing forth legislation that will ban conversion therapy altogether. Gralke and McCarthy go on to state in their previously mentioned article that there are 5 countries that have already done away with this practice and over a dozen more that are very close to accomplishing the same thing. With your help, we can make this dream a reality. The bottom line is that conversion therapy must be stopped in order to protect everybody. It is an urgent problem in our world, and it causes extreme mental health damage to our LGBTQ+ people. Luckily, the solution of donating to organizations like the Trevor Project is an easy and effective way at bringing this problem to an end. Amazingly, both James Guay and Sam Brinton survived their traumatic experiences and have now made it their life's work to stop this damaging practice. Guay tells us in his previously mentioned article for Time magazine that in 2012, the state of California became the first state to ban conversion therapy outright, with New Jersey following suit soon after. With your donation, or just your spreading the word, we can make that a reality in the remaining 48 states too.